The truth is often buried beneath layers of manipulation, gaslighting, and deceit, especially when it comes to narcissists. One area where they are particularly cunning is in their approach to intimacy. While they might appear charming or affectionate, beneath that facade lies a dark pattern that aims to control and dominate. In today's speech, we're going to uncover 5 sexual secrets narcissists don't want you to know. Secrets that can unlock the truth about their manipulative tactics and help you regain control over your own emotions, desires, and self-worth. Understanding these hidden dynamics will set you free from the toxic patterns narcissists create. The first secret that a narcissist doesn't want you to understand is that sex is a tool, a weapon, and a means of control. It's not about intimacy, not about connection, not about mutual respect. It's all about power. The narcissist sees sex through a lens that most of us don't fully appreciate. A means to dominate. They know the psychological effects of intimacy. They know how deep the emotional bond can go, and they use that knowledge to keep you in a constant state of uncertainty and dependency. The narcissist's ability to withhold affection or offer it selectively is a tool they use to keep you emotionally hooked, to keep you in a place where you feel like you're chasing something you can never quite reach. This leaves you constantly looking for approval, seeking validation, not from a place of love, but from a place of emotional necessity, hoping to please them, hoping to feel like you're enough. The beauty of a healthy relationship is that affection, intimacy, and love are given freely without strings attached. They are exchanged because both partners genuinely want to connect, to be close, to experience each other in an authentic, vulnerable way. But in the narcissist world, nothing comes without a price. They take something that is meant to be about trust and turn it into a chess game, using sex as a form of manipulation. They will pull back when you get too close, withholding affection just when you need it the most. They will use their charm and sexuality as a form of persuasion to make you feel wanted when they want something, and to make you feel discarded when they no longer need you. This back and forth creates a psychological imbalance. You begin to wonder if you're worthy of love, if you're good enough for them. You begin to doubt yourself because the love you receive is conditional. It hinges on your ability to meet their expectations, to please them, to fit into their constructed narrative of who you should be. The power of withholding affection is in its unpredictability. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you don't know when you're going to be lavished with attention, and you don't know when you'll be ignored. It creates an emotional roller coaster that keeps you constantly striving, constantly working to earn their approval, and constantly searching for ways to make them love you the way you want. And all the while, they remain in control, pulling the strings. They will play on your vulnerabilities, using your desire for affection and intimacy against you. They will make you feel like you need them more than they need you, further reinforcing their power. In some cases, the narcissist may even gaslight you, making you question the validity of your own emotional needs. They might accuse you of being needy or insecure when you ask for affection, and then turn around and use sex as a way to soothe you, only to withdraw it when you get too close. This back and forth creates confusion, leaving you in a state of emotional turmoil, unsure of what to believe or what you deserve. You start to believe that their love is something you must earn through their terms, and this belief slowly erodes your sense of self-worth. A narcissist's manipulation begins to shape your perception of yourself, making you feel smaller, weaker, and more dependent on their approval. The manipulation is subtle, and that's what makes it so dangerous. Over time, the narcissist may create an environment where you feel emotionally bound to them, where the act of intimacy becomes a cycle of expectation and performance, rather than an expression of mutual love. The more they withdraw, the more you chase. The more they give, the more you feel validated. But it's all temporary, fleeting, and conditional. You can never quite get enough because they never fully give themselves. They never let down their guard, never truly open up, and this leaves you in a perpetual state of longing, always wanting more. always feeling like you're not enough. This manipulation of sex for control doesn't only affect your emotional health, it affects your sense of identity. You begin to measure your worth based on their reactions. If they withhold affection, you feel rejected. If they shower you with attention, you feel validated. But neither response is based on your true value. It's based on their whims, their need to maintain dominance. The narcissist is not interested in building a true, vulnerable, and connected bond. They are interested in maintaining control, ensuring that you are always striving for their approval, always chasing after them, and always emotionally invested in a relationship that is fundamentally unequal. Recognizing this dynamic is the first step in freeing yourself from the toxic grip of the narcissist. Sex, affection, and love should never be tools for manipulation. They should be expressions of genuine connection, moments that bring people closer, not tear them apart. Once you understand how narcissists use these elements to control, you can begin to take back your emotional power, to see their manipulations for what they are, and to stop playing the game they've set for you. The first step to freedom is understanding the truth. You are worthy of love that is unconditional, that is not contingent on how well you can perform or how well you meet someone else's needs. Your value is inherent. You don't need to earn love through manipulation or emotional games. True love, real intimacy, comes from mutual respect, trust, and shared vulnerability, not control. The second secret that narcissists don't want you to know is that they use sex as a tool to validate their self-worth. This is perhaps one of the most insidious aspects of narcissistic behavior, and it takes a psychological toll on the victim that's often difficult to understand until you step back and analyze it. A narcissist's self-esteem is fragile, built not on solid foundations, but on external validation. They constantly crave admiration, and sex becomes one of the most effective ways for them to validate their sense of self. But this is not about you, it's about them. It's not about intimacy, love, or emotional connection. It's about proving to themselves and to the world that they are desirable, that they are admired, and that they matter. When a narcissist engages sexually, they are not looking for an equal exchange of pleasure or affection. No, for them, sex is a performance, a stage on which they must demonstrate their worth, their desirability, and their power. They seek validation in the form of admiration, not from a partner's emotional or physical satisfaction, but from their reaction, their enthusiasm, their praise. The narcissist may feel inflated when they receive a certain level of praise, flattery, or attention in return for their sexual performance. The deeper the praise, the greater their sense of self-importance becomes. They might say, "Did you enjoy that?" Or "Was that the best you've ever had?" It's not because they are genuinely concerned about your experience. It's because they need to hear it. They need confirmation that they are as good as they tell themselves they are. It becomes less about your needs and more about their inflated sense of self, which is constantly hanging by a thread. And they use sex as a way to patch that hole. This insatiable need for validation leaves little room for true connection or emotional intimacy in a healthy relationship. Partners are equally concerned with each other's pleasure, feelings, and emotional well-being. Sex is a shared act where two people come together to experience closeness, trust, and a mutual exchange of affection. But in the world of the narcissist, there is no such thing as equality. The narcissist is the center of the universe, and any act, even an intimate one, must revolve around them. You may feel emotionally disconnected after being intimate with a narcissist because in that moment it wasn't about sharing vulnerability or love, it was about fulfilling their need to be validated. Over time, this can erode your self-worth. You may start questioning why you're not enough, why their need for admiration and validation has to come at your expense. You may even start to feel guilty for not providing the level of praise or affirmation they crave. This is a dangerous cycle, as it reinforces the narcissist's power over you. The more you give them, the more they demand. And the more you begin to feel that your worth is defined by their perception of you, your needs, desires, and emotional states become secondary because they've effectively placed you in a position where your value is contingent upon how you reflect back their ego. In a narcissistic dynamic, sex becomes a transaction, and you, the partner, are left feeling like a mere spectator, not an equal participant. You might feel used, empty, and even dehumanized. The narcissist might even manipulate you into thinking that you are somehow responsible for their validation, making you believe that their need for constant admiration and sexual affirmation is your duty. But this is all part of the narcissist's psychological game. They will never tell you this explicitly, of course. Instead, they will do it in subtle ways. Through their actions, their demands, their need for constant praise, they may guilt trip you into giving more than you're comfortable with. And when you fail to meet their expectations, they might withdraw affection or use sex as a form of punishment. The impact of this can be profound. Over time, you may begin to lose sight of your own needs and desires, becoming so focused on meeting the narcissist's demands for validation that you forget what healthy, reciprocal intimacy feels like. The narcissist's emotional manipulation can cause you to become emotionally numb or disconnected, making it harder to form genuine relationships in the future. It's a cycle of diminishing returns. Each time you try to give more to prove your love or to make them feel validated, you end up with less in return. This erodes your self-esteem and can leave you feeling trapped in a relationship where you are constantly giving but never receiving. The key to breaking free from this dynamic is to understand that you are not responsible for the narcissist's self-worth. Their need for validation is a reflection of their own insecurities, not a reflection of your value. You are not here to serve their ego. You are not here to fuel their need for admiration. True intimacy, real love, and emotional connection can only thrive when both partners are equally invested in each other's well-being, happiness, and emotional needs. When you begin to recognize that the narcissist is using sex as a tool to validate themselves, you can start to detach from the cycle of manipulation and reclaim your emotional independence. You are worthy of love that is unconditional, mutual, and based on respect, not one that is fueled by someone else's need for constant admiration. It's time to recognize the manipulation for what it is, to stop giving away pieces of yourself, and to start living authentically and true to who you are. The third secret that narcissists don't want you to realize is that they deliberately use sex to create emotional dependency. This is one of the most manipulative tactics they employ because it doesn't just affect you physically, it entangles you emotionally and psychologically. At the start, the narcissist will often seem like the perfect partner. They will shower you with affection, attentiveness, and intimacy, but all of it is calculated. It's not genuine affection. It's a tool they use to bind you to them, to make you feel that your emotional fulfillment, your sense of worth, and your happiness are tied directly to their presence. The narcissist knows that the strongest emotional bonds are formed through vulnerability, and they exploit that understanding to gain control over you. What happens in this dynamic is that the narcissist will make you feel incredibly special, at least for a time. Their approach to sex is so overwhelming and intense that it creates a false sense of intimacy. You might find yourself thinking, this is it. This is the love I've been waiting for. They'll make you feel like you're the center of their world, pouring attention and affection on you in such an intense way that you begin to believe that your happiness is intrinsically linked to their behavior. You think that their love is real, that the intimacy you share is profound, but the truth is they are manipulating you into believing that you need them in ways you've never imagined. The connection they offer is one that is not mutual, not genuine, but conditional. And it's built on keeping you emotionally dependent on them. Through the use of sex, the narcissist creates a scenario where you're always striving to earn their affection. They will intermittently withhold affection or intimacy, making you crave their approval even more. When they give it to you, it feels like a reward, reinforcing the idea that you must behave a certain way to keep them happy, to keep them around. It's a pattern of intermittent reinforcement. Sometimes they're affectionate and cold. This inconsistency, this emotional roller coaster, becomes addictive. It's as if you're chasing the high of that fleeting approval, constantly seeking their attention and validation, and that's exactly the way the narcissist wants it. They want you to feel like you cannot live without them, that their love and attention are something you must earn, even though it's not real love. It's a facade, trap. The emotional dependency this creates is profound. Over time, you begin to feel like you can't function without their affection, without their approval. You start to lose touch with your own sense of self-worth because they've slowly and insidiously taught you that your value is only valid when it is reflected in their eyes. They turn your emotional needs into something that is contingent upon them, making you feel like you cannot be whole without their validation. When they are distant, you feel abandoned. And when they give affection, it's like a drug that temporarily makes you feel alive again. You become more and more attached, more and more dependent on their mood swings, on their approval. The emotional dependency becomes a cycle that keeps you locked in place, always searching for the next dose of affection, always feeling like you need them to feel validated, loved, and valued. The insidious nature of this manipulation is that it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, deliberate process that builds over time. In the beginning, you may not even notice the shift, but as the narcissist's control over your emotions tightens, you begin to feel a constant sense of unease. You might feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying to anticipate their needs, trying to keep them happy, because their affection is something you now rely on. When you do something that pleases them, you get a hit of emotional satisfaction. But the moment you do something they don't approve of, that affection can quickly vanish, leaving you feeling empty, abandoned, and worthless. This back and forth dynamic creates a psychological dependency on the narcissist's approval that becomes increasingly difficult to break free from. This emotional dependency is dangerous because it blurs the lines between genuine affection and manipulation. It tricks you into believing that their love is real, that their approval is the key to your emotional fulfillment. In reality, this is nothing more than a game they play to control you. The more you try to satisfy their needs, the more you lose yourself in the process. You become so focused on keeping them happy that you forget what it feels like to be happy on your own, to experience self-love, to feel whole without needing someone else to validate your existence. And that's where the narcissist's power lies. They take your sense of self-worth and twist it until you're no longer able to distinguish where you end and where they begin. You become emotionally entangled. And the more tangled you become, the harder it is to break free. Breaking free from this emotional dependency is incredibly difficult, but it's possible. The first step is recognizing the manipulation for what it is. Understanding that the narcissist uses sex to create a false sense of connection, to make you feel emotionally reliant on them, is key to regaining control over your life. You need to reconnect with your own sense of self-worth, to realize that you are whole and valuable on your own without needing to earn anyone's affection. Once you recognize this dynamic, you can start to detach emotionally, step by step, from the toxic grip they have on you. It's about rebuilding your sense of self, learning to validate yourself rather than relying on someone else to do it for you. It's about remembering that your worth is not defined by their approval, but by your own understanding of who you are. The fourth secret that narcissists don't want you to understand is how they weaponize sex to maintain dominance over you. This dynamic is one of the most dangerous in a narcissistic relationship. because it exploits a very fundamental human need, the need for connection. Narcissists know that sex isn't just a physical act. It's deeply emotional and psychological. It's one of the most intimate ways humans communicate and bond with one another. And because of this, the narcissist uses it as a tool to create a power imbalance, to establish control over their partner, and ultimately to keep them locked into a cycle of dependence. This is not a relationship built on mutual respect or shared intimacy. It's an environment where one person is constantly seeking approval and validation while the other holds the keys to that validation and uses it to manipulate and control. The narcissist understands something deeply psychological. People are willing to endure a great deal in relationships when they feel loved and sexually satisfied. So they use sex as a way to keep you hooked, keep you trying to prove your worth, and keep you coming back for more. At the beginning of the relationship, the narcissist may give you the impression that they are incredibly passionate, that they are attuned to your needs, and that they desire you in ways that make you feel special. This can feel intoxicating, like you found someone who truly sees you and values you, someone who makes you feel understood and desired. But the truth is, this behavior is a trap. Narcissists are not genuinely invested in your well-being or your pleasure. Their interest in sex is not about you. It's about maintaining a sense of power and control over you. The narcissist often withholds sex as a form of punishment. This can create a confusing, painful emotional dynamic. One minute you're showered with affection and attention, and the next there's a coldness and emotional distance that leaves you confused and uncertain. You might start questioning yourself, wondering if you did something wrong, wondering why they're distant. The lack of sex becomes a tool of manipulation, forcing you to try harder to win back their affection. They may use your desire for connection, intimacy, and affection against you. The emotional withdrawal is designed to make you feel unworthy, unloved, and desperate to prove that you're still valuable to them. In doing so, they reaffirm their control over you. They hold your emotional and sexual needs hostage, keeping you on edge, constantly wondering if you will ever be good enough for their approval. What makes this particularly insidious is that sex, in the context of a narcissistic relationship, is never about true connection. It's transactional. The narcissist will give affection or intimacy only when they feel like it's something they can extract from you, something they can leverage. And when they do engage sexually, it's often in a way that makes you feel inadequate or unimportant. They may disregard your needs, focus solely on their own pleasure, and never check in to see if you're feeling satisfied, emotionally connected, or valued. You might be left with a feeling of emptiness or frustration, not because of the act itself, but because of the way it was used to manipulate and control you. This creates a toxic emotional environment, one where your self-esteem is continually undermined. Over time, you begin to doubt your own worth because the narcissist has trained you to seek validation in the form of sexual approval. The more you try to meet their needs, the more distant and emotionally unavailable they become, leaving you in a constant state of anxiety. You're no longer sure whether you're good enough. You question whether your body is attractive enough, whether your behavior is pleasing enough, and whether you are worthy of their attention. This self-doubt spirals, as the narcissist knows that the more you question yourself, the more power they have over you. The idea of withholding affection or using sex as a form of punishment is deeply harmful because it damages your self-worth and your ability to trust in healthy reciprocal relationships. In a loving, mutually respectful relationship, both partners contribute to each other's emotional well-being. Both partners care about each other's needs, sexual and emotional, and work together to nurture each other's happiness. But in a relationship with a narcissist, this mutuality doesn't exist. They give affection only when they feel like it, and even then, it's not for your benefit, it's for their own. This behavior destabilizes the relationship and makes you feel like you are always chasing approval, always trying to earn affection that should be freely given. The most destructive part of this is that it keeps you locked in the relationship. You may tell yourself that things will get better, that if you just try harder, if you just give more, the narcissist will finally come around. But this is a false hope. The narcissist behavior is designed to make you dependent on them, to make you feel like you can't function without their validation. But the more you give, the more they take. The more you try to please them, the more they withdraw, and the deeper you fall into the trap. Breaking free from this manipulation requires a significant shift in perspective. It's important to realize that this is not love. It is control. It's manipulation. It's an unhealthy power dynamic that undermines your sense of self and your ability to have a balanced, healthy relationship. True love doesn't use sex as a weapon. It is based on mutual respect, trust, and a genuine desire to connect on a deep emotional level. Understanding that sex should never be used as a means of control or punishment is the first step toward reclaiming your power and your self-worth. Only then can you begin to recognize that you deserve love that is based on mutual respect, equality, and emotional authenticity, not on manipulation and control. The fifth secret that narcissists desperately hope you never discover is how they intentionally distort your reality to make you feel like you are the problem in the relationship. This manipulation is incredibly effective because it makes you doubt your own perception of events, creating a confusion that serves their purpose. Narcissists will constantly engage in gaslighting, which is a psychological tactic designed to make you question your sanity, your memories, and your sense of self. Over time, this begins to erode your confidence, your sense of self-worth, and your understanding of the truth. The narcissist doesn't just want to control your actions, they want to control your thoughts, your feelings, and ultimately your understanding of reality itself. The result is that you begin to lose touch with who you are and what is real. And you become increasingly dependent on them for validation, for clarity, and for emotional stability. Gaslighting can be subtle at first. Small remarks designed to undermine your confidence. They may tell you that you're overreacting when you express concern about something that doesn't feel right. They may downplay your feelings, making you believe that you're imagining things or that you're being irrational. At the core of this manipulation is the narcissist's desire to make you question yourself and to create a dynamic where they become the ultimate authority in your life. They don't want you to trust your instincts or your perception of reality. They want you to believe that their version of events is the only version that matters. They will twist the truth, shift the narrative, and even deny things that you know to be true to make you feel confused, disoriented, and uncertain. In the context of a narcissistic relationship, this kind of distortion of reality can be incredibly damaging. You might find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting your memory, or feeling like you're walking on eggshells because you can't trust your own perceptions. Narcissists will exploit this uncertainty, pushing you further and further into a state of emotional disarray. The constant shifting of blame, the refusal to take responsibility for their own actions, and the constant denial of your feelings creates an environment where you feel constantly off balance. You begin to believe that maybe you are the one who is difficult, the one who is demanding, the one who is creating problems. You begin to internalize this narrative, and over time, it chips away at your self-esteem. This form of manipulation is insidious because it often doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, a slow wearing down of your sense of reality. The narcissist will continue to undermine you in small ways until you're not sure where the truth lies. This creates a dependency on them for clarity. You begin to rely on them to tell you what's true, what's real, and what you should believe. It is a subtle but incredibly effective means of control. The narcissist seeks to undermine your autonomy, your ability to think critically, and your ability to trust your own instinct. Over time, this can lead to feelings of isolation because you begin to feel like no one else can understand what you're going through. You might feel like you're trapped in a relationship where your perception of reality is constantly under assault, and you're left questioning your own sanity. The long-term effects of this kind of manipulation are profound. It's not just about emotional manipulation, it's about cognitive distortion. The narcissist wants to distort the way you think about yourself, your relationship, and even the world around you. This leads to a lack of trust in your own judgment, making you more dependent on them for direction. You begin to lose the ability to make decisions for yourself because you're so used to seeking their validation, your version of events, and their approval. Your world becomes centered on them, and you lose sight of your own needs, your own desires, and your own sense of self. The most dangerous part of this manipulation is that it affects your ability to form healthy relationships in the future. If you've been gaslit for long enough, you might start to believe that you're inherently flawed, that you are too difficult, that you are too emotional or too irrational. This kind of thinking can make it difficult to trust others, especially when you've been taught to doubt your own feelings and perceptions. The narcissist's ultimate goal is to isolate you from others, to make you feel like you can only trust them. They want to make you feel that you're incapable of independent thought, that you need them to navigate the world, and that you will never be happy or successful without them. The longer you remain in this relationship, the more you internalize these distorted views, and the harder it becomes to break free. Breaking free from the gaslighting of a narcissist is no easy task, but it is possible. The first step is recognizing what's happening to you. Understanding that the narcissist is intentionally distorting your reality is crucial. It's about realizing that your emotions, your perceptions, and your thoughts are valid, even if they don't align with the narcissist's version of events. Rebuilding your confidence in your own judgment takes time and effort, but it's possible. The key is to begin trusting yourself again, to acknowledge that your feelings matter, and that you are entitled to your own perspective. Once you start to rebuild that sense of self-trust, you can begin to break free from the emotional control the narcissist has over you. It's about reclaiming your own narrative and understanding that your reality is just as valid as theirs. It's about recognizing that you are not the problem, they are, and it's time to take back your power. These 5 sexual secrets reveal a disturbing pattern that narcissists use to manipulate and control the people around them. They view relationships as power struggles, and sex becomes one of their most powerful tools in maintaining dominance. Their behavior is not about love, it's about control, validation, and performance. Once you understand these tactics, you can start to see through their manipulation and take steps toward reclaiming your emotional freedom. The most important thing to remember is that you are worthy of real intimacy, respect, and love, not manipulation or emotional games. Narcissists thrive in relationships where their partners are kept confused, dependent, and emotionally exhausted. Once you recognize these patterns, you can break free. You can start making choices that honor your emotional well-being and protect your dignity. If you've been trapped in the confusing world of narcissistic manipulation, it's time to recognize the signs. It's time to stop accepting the toxic behavior that keeps you in a cycle of emotional turmoil. Your emotional and sexual needs are valid, and you deserve to be with someone who sees and respects you for who you truly are, not for how well you serve their ego. Recognize the narcissist game, take back your power, and step into a life filled with authentic love, respect, and genuine connection.